Welcome to NICU Stories. Hey everybody, thank you for tuning in for NICU Stories. I have an amazing guest tonight. Her name is Jadacy Shepherd, and I'm so happy to have her on, really because her story is absolutely amazing and because she is a mom who experienced the NICU during a pandemic. So I think her story is absolutely a triumphant story. And she's also a mom of a rainbow baby. So I am excited to have her on to share her story. I think she's going to be a great impact and a support for other moms with similar stories. Jadacy, welcome to NICU Stories. How are you?
Thank you. Good. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm excellent. So if you want to go ahead and share your story and about your babies.
Okay, so I had my baby boy Maxwell on May 1st. I he was delivered at just 24 weeks. I had him May 1st and he wasn't due until August 19th. So this was a very hard time for me, and it was really hard for me to process that he was coming so early because of course it's the doctor's job to tell you all the bad stuff
Right, right.
that could happen, and it's really hard to not get discouraged. Also because I'm an angel mom, and I had my son little Eddie at 30 weeks and he was stillborn. So still in that grief process, just thinking, God, like, don't let this happen again, because Maxwell had a 20% chance of living.
Wow.
So that was just super hard to process. And then for them to tell me that they almost always don't make it. So it was definitely hard to process, especially with COVID, because I could have no visitors. The only person that was allowed there was my husband, Eddie. And that's because upon being admitted, I had to go to my first high risk appointment.
Mm-hmm.
And we couldn't have anyone come in the appointments with us, but he wanted to be supportive. So he sat in the car.
Oh,
So I literally had to call him like, babe, they admitted me.
wow.
And he was like, what? I was like, yeah, I have to stay until I deliver the baby. So he had to go park the car, come in, and at this point, I was like 23 weeks or so.
Mm-hmm.
And they tried to keep me comfortable for 10 weeks to try to keep him in there for 34 weeks, which I ended up having him 8 days into being admitted. So it was definitely hard because my mom and I are really close. She couldn't be there for the delivery of her first grandchild. And everyone was just really excited for us, just simply because they know what we had just been through.
Mm-hmm.
So it was super hard not being able to have my support system there. But my husband was awesome, and he was able to take the time off that he needed to be there with me while he could. So I ended up having an emergency C-section, and they told me that we would be there a while. So we
Oh,
were actually there 117 days, like 3.5 months. Yeah. So um, the process was literally a roller coaster. You go through so many emotions,
yeah.
but during this time, I just definitely had to desperately cling on to God, because I'm like, God, I can't go through this anymore. Like, please don't let this happen to me anymore. And in the midst of that, he had to tell me, just shift your focus somewhere else. Like, I got Maxwell, you focus somewhere
Mm.
else, which is still completely hard because it's like, God, my first baby died.
Yeah, right.
But because of this, like, same issues. So I trust you. And we rolled it out, and Maxwell is home now. and he's doing so well. He did have to come home on a little oxygen, so he's on oxygen. He's in therapy. So yeah.
And how was it on your family that you had to, just you and your husband being there during the pandemic?
Um, it was extremely hard just because my mom and I are extremely close, and upon me getting pregnant and her finding out that I was pregnant with Maxwell, my husband works a lot and
Hmm.
he works at night. She automatically was like, "So when you moving in?" I was like, "Huh? I got a whole man. Like I can't move in with you." She was like, "Oh, he could come too."
Oh,
So
wow.
I was like, okay, so everyone was very overprotective of me during this time being pregnant with Maxwell. Nobody wanted me to do absolutely anything.
Right,
So
right.
then when I had to go in and have him so early and no one really knowing the outcome, it was just put a lot of stress on everyone around me. My brother and I are really close. He had such a hard time with it not being able to come see me at all.
Right.
So it was just really hard. But I can tell you one thing: everyone that, even if I didn't know, just became prayer warriors because literally everyone was praying for him. Even
Hmm.
the nurses there were so comforting. Like I know at least three of them prayed with me. They would see me in there by myself and they'll just come ask me, "Can I pray with you? Is it okay if I pray with
Oh, that's
you?"
amazing.
So even though I didn't physically have my family there, someone was always on FaceTime with me, but I definitely got a NICU family while being there.
That's amazing. So when you say NICU family, um, are you talking about like the nursing staff or was it like other parents?
Both. So I did meet a lot of just beautiful women from all walks of life too. During that time, I'm very soft spoken and I'm definitely not the conversation starter. So they would see me coming there, and one mom, she just was like, "How are you?" And I just looked at her and I was like, "I'm doing the best that I can."
Oh,
Honestly. So she introduced me to another mom, and we got a little prayer group going. We would meet up every Wednesday in the lobby of the NICU, and all of us would pray for each other.
oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, it was awesome. And then the nurse, they were just, it almost brings me to tears how awesome they are, because that is a hard job, you know?
It is.
But
It is.
to be able to comfort me, and not only me, other moms there, they were so good. Like, they would check on Maxwell, even if they wasn't his nurse for the day. They would come back and check on him, make sure that I was okay, that we had everything that we needed, and that was very refreshing. Because in the beginning, I wouldn't come home at all. I stayed at the NICU, and they would literally tell me, they were like, "He's okay. You can go home, shower, see your family. Like, we got him." I'm like, "You tell me that, but
I can
I don't want to
understand.
leave my baby here."
Right.
That was the hardest part. Like, just leaving him there, that was so hard for me.
It is. It is. And now, did they have like any services like the Ronald McDonald House, or did you live close by to the hospital that you could just go there easily?
So, the NICU I was at, they did not have the Ronald McDonald House. I was at the Nemours here in Lakeland at Lakeland Regional Medical Center,
Hmm.
and the NICU rooms were actually like a small hotel room.
Oh,
I had a pull-out bed, I had a recliner, I had television, Wi-Fi, I had my own personal bathroom. It just didn't have a shower in it. And Maxwell was on the other side of me. It was literally like sliding doors that kept us separated, but I
mhm.
can open it and go in and out as I please to just be by his bedside.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, so it was awesome, but it was just hard just having to be there, like, and I couldn't physically do anything for him.
Right, right.
Like that was one of the hardest parts for me, just being there, but I couldn't comfort him. I didn't know if he was hurting, and he had the breathing tube in at the time, so he couldn't cry. I had never heard his voice,
Oh,
but yeah, I was there all the time with him, and they had it set up really nice in
that's amazing. For me, with my daughter, actually, she was at two different hospitals. In both hospitals, it was
there.
just one big open room. The first hospital that she was in, it was like a stage 4 hospital, so they had like a stage 4 room, and then they had like
Mm-hmm.
step down room. So she was always in the stage 4 room. But when she went to the new hospital, like the final stages of her being in a NICU, it was just one gigantic room. So I think that kind of helps your story as far as having that space to be with your baby privately. And it's like you could spend more time there. I feel like you're in this larger room, it kind of takes away the privacy and also just the personal time that you want with your baby. The only thing that separated me and other parents and other babies was like a divider, like those little mobile dividers that they would slide back and forth, those little mobile curtains,
Mm-hmm.
and that was it. So when you're nursing, you have to like leave the bedside, go to another room to nurse, or
Oh
to pump
wow.
or something like that, or they will put if those curtains were available, they would put them behind me so that I can pump right then and there. But if they weren't available, they didn't have enough, I would have to
Mm-hmm.
go to another room. With the hospital being the level that it was like hearing some of these other stories, I'm like, man, I feel like I kind of missed out. Like this wasn't a great experience. But now they I think they remodeled. They do offer those private rooms.
Mm-hmm.
I did talk to a nurse practitioner, and she said she thinks the bigger rooms are better because moms do get to see other moms, which is true. I didn't no moms ever asked me how I was doing. So I think that was pretty beautiful that you connected with other moms and you guys
Mm-hmm.
built this community. And it helps in this situation when you're by yourself, especially during a pandemic. Um, did you see a difference in how they handled you as a patient during the pandemic versus the first time that you were in the hospital with your previous baby?
Um, I really didn't see a difference because with my previous son, I delivered him at Lakeland Regional as well, and they all were so comforting during that time. And I did have a nurse that would come in and pray with me. So that both experience, even though the first one with my son was just extremely hard, they made it as comforting as they possibly could.
That's so good.
Yeah, so it was a good experience both times under the circumstances.
Right. And the only difference you would say would be the fact that you couldn't have your family there. It would just be you and your husband.
Yeah, but I do know the first time I could have my family there, but I was aggravated
Understandably.
because they all was there like at one time just sitting around. I'm like, I love y'all, but I want y'all to go home.
But for hospital protocol, that you would say that would be the only difference in the pandemic.
Yeah,
It was just a limited
yeah,
amount of guests. Okay.
yeah. And but with COVID, I just wanted my mom.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Like it's totally different because with little Eddie, I actually had to give birth to him. I
Oh,
had him all natural, no epidural, nothing. And my mom and husband were there when I had him, and my husband kept trying to touch me, and I didn't want him to touch me at all. I just wanted my mom.
oh, that's an emotional time, I can imagine, and just the comfort of your mom. I get it.
Yeah, I want, and she let me beat her up. I'm sure I slapped her across her face a few times.
Your mom is such a trooper.
She was like, "You can't be doing that." I'm like, "It hurt."
Oh, but it
But
definitely takes a
yeah,
village to experience the NICU. It definitely does. Now, when you were there,
absolutely.
did they require you to wear a mask the whole time when you were with him, or you were able to take your mask off the whole time? You had to wear a mask?
Well, unless I was behind the glass sliding doors,
Oh, wow.
that were in the room. But every time I would be around him, I would have to wear a mask every time, and you have to do security check in every time. Which some days I would be really angry because I'm coming up here every day. You see me every single day. Why is this process taking so long? I want to see my baby. You asking me my name every day. Sir, I've seen you 3 days straight. You know my name.
Good
Let me
protocol.
up here. Yeah. I'm like, cause some days you just want to walk straight up there. Then it's a line waiting to go see people.
Oh,
So that was tough. I know one day one security guard got it and he just was like, I don't even know why, but I was just ready to go see my baby and he was just taking too long.
because it's stressful. Did you find like
Yeah.
a strategy, like you find the line is, less longer on certain days or certain times? So did you like try to strategize around visiting hours, or would you just go early and stay all day because to avoid the lines?
Yeah, I literally when I did get to the point when I would leave, I would go around 9 a.m. And most days I left at 4 a.m. I would be there from 9 a.m. and I would leave at 4 a.m.
Oh, wow.
and I would go home, sleep a few hours, pop back up, and go right back.
And you know what's funny? They say that is well, not funny, but they say like that time in the kangaroo. Like, were you able to kangaroo him during that time
Yes,
to see the skin?
well, the first time I did, his temperature dropped significantly and it scared me so bad. So I I didn't want to
Oh,
anymore until I was comfortable enough to do it. But once we got in the routine of doing skin to skin, I held him all like every chance I could. If they had to come in and just do like give him breathing treatments or medications, that's when I would give him back. But other than that, I wanted to hold him the whole time.
I'm glad that you were able to hold him because with the social distancing, I just always wondered how are moms handling in the NICU and if they're allowing them to experience the skin to skin because that's a vital part in the development and the growth for a micropreemie, especially is the skin to
Hmm.
skin. I can imagine that being traumatic. Like, okay, let me not take them out of the incubator, let them stay
Yeah.
if his temperature drop, but they did say that was the biggest part. And the fact that you were there so long and be able to support your son in his development, the hours that you were able to put in, that's a blessing. Because my daughter, when she was there, she was 45 minutes from me. So I couldn't go all the time. But when I
Mm.
would go, I would stay as long as I possibly could. So it was hard. Sometimes I used to beat myself up like, had I stayed longer, would she got out of the NICU a lot quicker? You go through the mom guilt and then experiencing the doctors putting me through the mom guilt of not being there all the time. And I'm like, I live 45 minutes away. Like I live far, it's not like around the corner. And it's always traffic where we live. So, I did the best that I could, but I think it's such a blessing that you were able to be there and, live close by that you can spend those hours because it's so vital with their well being and their development and their health in the NICU. The other question I have is I remember you mentioning how you were able to heal. from this process?
Yeah, so I like to think of myself as a pretty creative person. Like I feel like I can turn nothing into just anything. So I pride myself on my creativity. But when I lost myself, and my creativity was non existent. So I just felt just so empty. So um I remember just getting up to cook, and I just felt just free. Like it was like a weight lifted off of my shoulder. And so I just was like, I literally thought about it. I was like, I feel okay. Like while I'm doing this, like I feel okay. So cooking became my thing. I always
Mm,
liked to cook, but it just became vital. I wanted to cook every single day because during that time I didn't have to think about anything except for what I was cooking. And then it allowed me to be creative and express myself. Um, just by putting it together made me extremely happy. So yeah, I started to cook, and I started taking photos of my food and posting them on my social media, and I would call it culinary therapy
mhm,
because during that time I had the most intimate conversations with God while I was cooking.
mhm,
So I would post my photos and just talk about what I experienced in that moment while cooking that meal.
mm.
And it kind of became a thing. Like everybody, girl, I didn't know you could cook. I was like, girl, I know how to cook, but I didn't know I could cook like this. I would get super creative, and I'm a very visual person, and I love fashion as well. So I thought of it as like styling my food.
Oh.
So I could get creative in that aspect of it too. Like, how am I going to plate this? That was the exciting part for me as well. So cooking became a huge part of my grief process, and it also helped me to kind of have a voice because, like I said, I'm not the conversation starter. And I typically like keep to myself. But I had this awesome group of angel moms that would talk to me under my post, and that allowed me to connect with them on a different level. So I just started cooking, and I'm sure 80% of my feed is just food now.
And you call it a taste of healing, right?
Yes,
I love
yes.
it. I took some time to go through some of your photos and I said, where does she live? I need to connect with her because I need this dish she has posted in these videos and these posts. So definitely connect with Jadacy. Can you share how people can follow you on in social media to, especially NICU moms, just to have something different to look at and to think about while they're in a NICU, and just something to just warm the soul because you have dressed and plated these meals. I have to say, this is the first time I've heard a chef say they dressed their plate. Most people say we plated it. And I love that you say you dress it because you do such a wonderful job at it. And like for you
Thank
to
you.
not be a food photographer, your photography skills are incredible because all
Thank
those
you.
photos, my mouth is like salivating because I said, I need to know where she is. I need a meal.
Thank you.
So if
Thank
you
you
can
so
share how
much.
people can follow you for a taste of healing.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can follow me on my Instagram page at A Taste of Healing. And on my personal page is Jadacy Shepherd on Instagram.
Thank you so much, Daisy. And I thank you so much for taking the time to share your story with us. And one of the greatest things I think is so impactful about the NICU stories is just all the different businesses and creative ideas to help others have been birthed out of our pain and out of our experience. And I'm so glad to have you share a taste of healing. So, moms who are in the NICU or, just experiencing postpartum from being in the NICU can have
Yeah.
something different to look at, something different to just put a nice warm smile on your face. Because I was looking at your pictures like, oh my gosh, it just does something to you though. Seriously, something about
Mm-hmm.
food, it is comforting. So I thank you for sharing that with us.
Oh,
And do
no
you have
problem.
any advice that you want to share with another NICU mom
Um, it's
or
so
parent?
crazy. I actually was talking to a girl reached out to me on Instagram probably yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because she's actually in the hospital about to deliver her child at 28 weeks, and she just remembered my story. So my advice is just trust God throughout this whole process. Like, I can't stress it enough. Like, the way I experienced God after going through this, you have to trust him. Don't let what the doctors tell you discourage you,
Mm-hmm.
because that in itself will just have you feeling so down before anything even happens, you know?
Right, right.
So I could say, just trust God throughout this whole process. Just trust him, and just be able to be in a space to have an open mind and an open heart, to be able to hear him and let him flow into you. Because I know prior to me going through this, patience was one of my biggest things. I was one of those
Ooh,
people that like to be in control of everything.
you sound like
So
me.
I had to go through this process where this being that I just love with everything in me, and there was absolutely nothing that I can do except just be there.
Mm,
And that was it. So, um, trust him. Just trust God throughout this whole experience, because he's going to show you some things, he's going to work some things, and it's life changing, for the best. I know I've come to this space because of some pretty tragic things, but to be honest, I wouldn't change anything for the world, because I love the person that I'm becoming, truly. And the devil tried to break me by taking my kids away from me. And God said no.
that's it.
So I literally say just trust God throughout this whole process.
I couldn't agree more because that was the only way I got through my process. When the doctors told me my daughter had 50% chance of living, I said, I believe God. And, to our listeners, if you don't believe in God, it's quite okay. But for me, that was the only way that I can get through the NICU process was with God.
Absolutely.
So I couldn't
Absolutely.
agree with you anymore. And look at the testimony that you already have women reaching out to you for support. So we're definitely going to keep the young lady in prayer, believe in God for her baby, for that she will also get through the NICU experience. And I'm with you too with the patience. I think that's exactly what was being tried.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Mm-hmm.
when
Like,
I
I'm
knew
gonna sit you down.
well, yeah, like I was one who had to have control over everything and just felt like everything was going to be okay if I can control it. But you said it best. The only thing you can do was just sit there and just wait. And I think that added, like, for control freaks, which most moms are, we got to be in control. To have to just sit there and just wait it out, that's an
Yeah.
added stress too, especially
Mm-hmm.
on our emotions and our psyche because we're just so used to being able to handle everything. So I thank you for pointing that out. That was just some definite gems. And I'm pretty sure a lot of moms can identify with that because I definitely can. But once again,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Jadacy, I don't know why I keep calling you Jadacy.
It's okay.
But
It's
once again,
okay.
Jadacy, I thank you from the bottom of my heart for sharing your story with us and being so open and honest and just so real and transparent with us today. I'm
No
pretty sure
problem.
there's some moms that's going to be blessed by your testimony, especially the angel moms who are listening in, who are probably going through the NICU as well. So
Absolutely.
thank you again, and we value and appreciate you here at NICU Stories. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to Jadacy's story today. If you want to reach out to her, Jadacy, drop the Instagram one more time.
Instagram at Jadacy Shepherd, or my business page at A Taste of Healing.
Thank you again. And you guys tune in to NICU Stories podcast on any outlet. We're also on Instagram and we're also on Facebook. On Instagram, though, it's NICU Stories. And on Facebook, it is NICU Stories. And we look forward to talking to you. If you want to be a guest on any of my upcoming shows, reach out to me at admin.nicustories admin at NICUstories.com. Thank you again, Jadacy. Love you,
You're
girl.
welcome. You're welcome.